Welcome to Criminal AF, and for those of you joining us for the first time, this is a true crime podcast. There will be talk of murder, rape, torture, assault, and pretty much any crime that would haunt your nightmares at any given moment. There will be detailed descriptions of said events, and there will be some vulgar language.
Like fuck.
We understand that Criminal AF is not for everyone, but we just ask that you at least give it a listen. If it's not for you, hey, thanks for checking it out.
See ya.
But if it is, welcome to the debauchery. For nearly 30 years, a man single-handedly brought fear to people living in New Jersey and New York, admitting to murdering over 200 people. He had grandiose claims of killing when he was 14, working as a mafia hitman, kidnapping Jimmy Hoffa, and taking down another notorious killer of the time. He was known as the Iceman. This is the story of Richard Kuklinski. I'm Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Corder.
And this is Criminal as Fuck. What's good, fuckers, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal AF. Once again, I am Dave Jari, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Garrett Corder.
How we doing?
Now, we got to give a shout-out to HelloFresh. Now, with HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy and fun. And affordable, by the way. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. To get our amazing offer of 16 free meals and free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/CriminalAF16 and use code CriminalAF16. And we'd like to also give a shout out to our newest member of the Debauched. That's Emily White. Thank you so much, Emily. Your support is greatly appreciated. Before we start getting into the nitty-gritty, I just found out that people can comment on our episodes through Spotify. Did you know this?
Yes.
You knew this?
Yes, I knew that you
Why
could
didn't you tell me this?
What? I'm a Spotify kind of guy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more of an Apple podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like Spotify.
All right, yeah. So I didn't know this until I received the email saying that, that I received 2 new comments on our last episode. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? But the downside to all of this is that you can't respond back. Not that I've seen anyway. So one of our friends commented it on our last show, and he goes by John K. Now, I don't want to butcher his last name, so we'll just say John K.
John K.
John K.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, so he brings up a point from the last episode that I really want to clarify with him. So I'm reaching out to you directly, John K., that if you listen to this episode, please reach out to me through our social media or through our email, criminalafpod@gmail.com, and I'd really like to respond. All right, with all that being said, go leave us a comment on this episode of Spotify, and because apparently now that we know that that's a thing.
Yes.
Also, you can become a member of the Debauched by joining our Patreon for as little as $2 a month for general support. Everyone gets access to our private Discord. And those who join our $5 tier get all of our audible, video, and downloadable content, including the narrated scripts for every story from Criminal AF. You get our 5-minute murder, where I discuss a true crime event in 5 minutes or less, hence the name. And also our Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast called Random AF, where we discuss anything and everything, and we don't hold anything back, do we, Garrett?
Not at all.
All right, so we talk about white people taco night, which some of you have already seen. We talk about would you rather perform the first 90% of a blowjob or the last 10%? Which one, Garrett?
Oh, I'm doing first 90.
First 90, 100%.
It's not even a question.
Right. I don't want none of that 10%. All right, so it gets pretty crazy, and it's 100% not safe for work.
Dude, the lowest tier of the Discord is worth anything.
Because, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, because you get the Discord. Yeah.
Just join, come hang out with the fucking socials. It's so good.
Absolutely. So for the higher tiers, you get all of this, plus producer credits on every episode, some goodies thrown in like t-shirts, posters, coffee mugs, etc. So to choose your tier, just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support or click on the link in the episode description. Now, there are other ways you can support Criminal AF as well. You can visit our show on Apple Podcasts, where you can leave a detailed review on why Criminal AF has had such a positive impact on your life. Or, as we stated earlier, you can go to Spotify and answer the questions posted in the episode, or you can interact with polls that we can post. There's polls as well that we can put on there.
Yeah.
I'm learning all this shit out as we're doing this.
It's like a boomer trying to find life right now.
What is all this fancy?
What goddamn planet?
Who dingy? All right, so last but not least, you can be rocking our merch. There's tons of designs and products to choose from.
Go get you some merch.
Yes, sir. And you can find it all at criminalafpodcast.com/shop.
Mail call. Mail call.
Prior to every episode, we send out an AMA on Instagram for a chance for your question to be answered on air. And today, we have one from C. Daniel Moore, and he wants to know if I, or you, vice versa, whichever, if I called you up middle of the night and said, Garrett, I need your help.
Oh, I already know where this is going.
I blacked out.
Oh, no.
And I have a body in my house. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Oh, fuck you, Dave.
What are you doing?
God damn it. I'm already invested. Fuck. Well, first. Go ahead. All right. Yeah. First off, I'm going to ask you a million questions, and you know this.
You're just not going to jump in the car and come over?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
You're not that committed,
I have too much to lose, Dave.
Okay.
All right? What happened? What's going on? What, like, give me, is it a female?
Who is it? Yeah. Okay.
like, that's my first question.
All right.
And it depends on the scenario.
Wow.
I
thought you were my ride or die, bro.
Right.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I'm not calling you then. I am not calling you.
That's not
if
great.
you have all those questions, I'm not calling you.
Listen. All right. So my first question would be who, what, where, when.
Yep.
Obviously.
Okay.
Is it a dude or is it a female?
Why does it matter?
I just want to know for my own.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to answer the question directly.
Okay.
I'll give you both. I'll give you both.
Oh, no,
answers.
we're on a telephone conversation right now.
Yeah.
You asked me and I'm
Dave,
telling you why does it matter?
What did she do?
I don't know. I blacked out, dude.
Oh no!
I fucking blacked out.
No,
I have no idea. There's a dead person.
All right, I'm coming over with a bottle of Tito's right now. I'll be over in a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
What else? That's it?
Yeah. All right. So, fuck. That's such a hard thing. It's such a hard thing to answer. I think my immediate reaction that I would try to help you.
Yeah.
And that's crazy for me to even say at this point.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to risk it all.
Right. Yeah.
We're not on a recorded phone line. I'm not texting you. You called me, right?
I called you.
Okay. So you call me. I go, Dave, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. I'll be like, bro, I don't know. I fucking blacked out. I come to and there's somebody dead right on my floor, bleeding out. I have no fucking idea what happened.
All right, my honest answer, I want to give you this fun answer where I'm like, yeah, I'll help you bury the body, whatever. I'll help you. But I don't think I could. I got too much to lose.
I got you.
So I think that I would try to talk you through the scenario, and I would say, hey, you're gonna do whatever you want. There's no paper trail here, so handle what you have to handle, and I'm washing my hands. I love you, dude, but I got too much to lose at this point.
Yeah. All right, so
vice versa.
If it was me, if you called me.
Oh my god, dude, I got kids, bro. You can't put that on me.
Yeah. If you called me and you're like, Dave, I blacked out. Somebody dead on my floor. I don't know what the fuck happened. I got my kids here. I don't want the kids to see this. You know, Kelly's sleeping. I don't like Kelly. Nobody. They can't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what the fuck? I need your help.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you this much. I will be in my car, and I will come here.
God, now I feel like a piece of shit.
No questions asked.
Now I feel like a piece of shit.
Okay. Now I'm not saying that you know you're out of the woods here.
Okay.
Okay. When I get here, I'll assess the situation.
Okay. Okay, you're already accomplice to murder.
No, I'm not accomplice.
I'm just giving you
I'm just giving you
the.
I just came in and I witnessed the body laying on your floor. Okay.
Yep. So you witnessed a murder.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll be like, can we carry them to Mohegan Park?
We could.
We could.
we could. And ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what I said, is if there's bodies we find bodies around Norwich, Connecticut, we know who it we already know who it is.
All right, so first question, can we carry them to Mohegan Park? Okay.
We could.
Second question.
It's a yes.
If it's a female, is the body still warm? Is it still warm?
Yeah.
All right. So what I need you to do is I need you to go in the other room for a minute. All right, I'll take care of it.
There's no way
I'll take care of
There's no way you're going that fucking deep.
I just need to take care of a few things before we go further.
It's still warm.
All right. So just go make sure the kids are still sleeping and make sure Kelly's good.
All right.
and then I'll call you back.
All right, 35 minutes.
What? 35 minutes?
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Right.
I was thinking like
2 minutes later.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll be like, hey, Garrett, come back in.
Yeah.
Okay. And you come in, and then you'll be like, Dave, what's all over?
Stop.
All right, being serious.
The best part about this is all this is gonna get cut.
All right, being serious. I will come over. No questions asked.
Yeah.
I will come over.
All right.
But the second is that I will support you throughout your trial.
Dude, I got
because
angry.
I 100% calling the police.
I got angry.
Yeah.
What, you would call the cops on me? I never said that.
Yeah.
I never said I would call the cops on you.
Yeah, you basically said you would. You said you had too much to lose.
No, I said I wouldn't support you in hiding
too
the
much
body.
to lose. Did I say I was going to call the cops?
Yeah, you legit said
Did I just say that?
No, you definitely did.
I'm ratting you out.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep. I'm going to be like, hey, I don't know what the fuck happened here. He called me over. I found a dead body. It's all him. I got nothing to do with this.
You know what's funny? That is such a touchy topic.
Yeah.
That I love that. C. Daniel Moore by far came in with the heater right there. But that is such a touchy topic because you don't know how you would react until you were put in that situation.
You don't know. But you're right.
Everybody thinks that I would do this, I would do that. But until you're actually faced with that situation of somebody that you love and care about, i.e. Dave Jari, because I love and care about you.
Thank you.
But you don't know how you would react until you're actually faced with that situation. You can always say that you would do this, you would do that, you're this big strong dude, you would do this.
Now, I will say this is that if it were one of my sons that called me up with the same exact predicament,
that's even tougher question to answer.
I will drop everything I have. I will go to wherever they are, and I will tell them to get the fuck out of here, get as far away from this fucking situation as you can, and I would 100% take the rap on all of it.
You're an amazing father.
Yep.
You're an amazing father because that would be tough for me to even do.
Really?
Yeah. I love my son.
Wow.
I love my son.
You would sell your son out? What?
Listen, I'm being completely honest. I love all the criminal life. It's one of those tough things where I would like to say, yes, for one of my children, I would do that. But it would freak me out, too, in the same...
No, I got you.
In the same sentence, it would freak me out.
Yeah.
I would be very afraid of what he just did and the possibilities of it
him continuing.
If I'm going to take the rap...
You do bring up a good point.
If I'm going to take the rap for his mistake, quote-unquote mistake,
yeah.
what is stopping him from doing it again later on?
No, I got you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where it's...
Yeah, because I would be pissed if I took the rap for him... Yeah, I'm in fucking jail for life or whatever, and he goes off on a fucking spree. I'd be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What did I do this for?
Kids is a touchy subject for sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to happen down the line.
So to go back to the other thing, I would tell my son initially, I'd be like, you know what? Get out of here. Get as far away as possible. Possibly go down to Florida. I'm trying to segue in.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So thank you, C. Daniel Moore, for that question.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
It was a fantastic...
that was a little thought-provoking. It was.
Definitely a fantastic...
It was.
And I love how none of us actually came up with an actual answer for this. Because who knows? We'll let you know when we actually get confronted with that
when
situation.
Garrett calls me next week.
No. Everybody on this podcast knows it's going to be you who calls me.
Maybe it will be me. You're right.
Well, speaking of Florida...
Yeah.
Why don't we go down to Florida here?
Head on down to Florida.
Ring a ding 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 ding. Man carrying a concealed sword inside of an urgent care waiting room faces charges. That is probably the most... Honestly, that's going to be the most Florida thing you guys have ever heard on this podcast.
Honey, I'm headed to the urgent care. Don't forget to bring your sword.
Excalibur's with me. All right. A man is charged with carrying a concealed weapon after a medical staff discovers him sitting in an urgent care waiting room with a sword.
Is it sheathed? Or is he like...
He probably has a full
Is he doing
get-up.
like fucking like...
No. I'm thinking, honestly...
Ninja tricks?
Honestly, I'm thinking like a Renaissance fair. Full get-up. Like that's what he wears outside of...
Yeah, it's like those videos of that dude who like...
Yeah.
Who takes out water bottles and stuff. Yeah.
If anybody has ever seen the movie Grandma's Boy, like Adios Turd Nuggets, and if they have, they'll get that reference. According to records, upon arrival, officers were met at the entrance by a woman who claimed to be the man's wife, who claimed her husband had a sword in his possession. Mm-hmm. The woman's... So
is she condoning this? Or?
Well...
She's like, just let you know, my son's got a sword.
Just like I would hide a body for you, Dave.
Yeah.
I would definitely hide a sword for you.
Is she bragging? She's like, hey, my man's got a sword. I don't know what you guys got.
My man's got a sword.
Yeah.
The woman also warned officers he had a mental illness.
Oh, okay.
Upon entering the waiting room, CSPD officers noticed the man sitting with an unknown object in his lap, concealed with a green cloth. Oh, so it wasn't sheathed.
Oh, it's just out.
He was just out willy-nilly.
With his snuggie.
with his snuggie on it. Records show officers approached him in an inquiry about the object, which he proceeded to uncover that revealed a full sword.
Oh, yeah. He whipped it out. He's like, look at this sword.
Substantially, the officers instructed him to place the sword on the floor and return to his seat, to which he complied.
How big was the sword?
It was probably big.
Yeah. Just whipped out a sword, lifted a blanket. Here's my sword.
With the sword secured on the waiting room floor, the arrest report indicated...
Wait, what? The sword was on the floor now?
It was on the floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, I got you.
He was 100%...
Compliant?
He was 100% compliant with this. With the sword secured on the waiting room floor, the arrest report indicated CSPD officers took possession of it to identify it correctly, unwrapping it from the cloth and confirming that it was a 2-foot bladed sword.
2 foot?
2 feet.
That's like a, what do you call it?
Right now I'm actually
katana? Is that a katana?
No.
2 feet?
2.
It's like...
That's like a Shinto blade.
Oh, a Shinto?
Yeah. Listen, I'm a Japanese marksman. I'm a Japanese master swordsmith over here.
No, you're not. You're anime.
No. It's about a Shinto sword, okay, guys? 2 feet. It's not that big, all right? To be fair, they should have just sent him home.
Oh, it's a Shinto? Right. Yeah, you're fine.
It was a 2-bladed sword with...
Sorry to bother you, sir.
Symbols on the blade's bottom proportion. After the discovery, the man was arrested and transported to police headquarters for booking procedures. During the interview in the police station, he stated that he had purchased the sword from a pawn shop just 2 days prior and had not brought the sword out in public until that day. It was his first day, guys.
His first day out.
Give him a break. Give him a break.
And you just got it. And you take it away already.
He went on to tell officers he didn't want to leave this sword in his vehicle due to the fear that someone would steal it.
Well, yeah, it's brand new. He just got it. No, I'm with you.
Dude, this is the most Florida
I'm with you, bro.
This is the most Florida emergency room fucking visit I've ever heard of. Dude, I just bought this sword from a pawn shop.
Now you're going to take it away? I can't bring it into the fucking emergency room? Fuck.
All right.
If I can't bring it here, where can I bring it?
All right. He did not intend on intentionally harming any others with the sword.
He just wanted to show everybody his sword skills?
He was unaware of the illegality of bringing it into the healthcare facility. He was transported to Broward County Main Jail. This man was...
Did they drop the charges? Or?
It doesn't say at this point. It does not say. But, to be fair, he's struggling from mental illness. Even his girlfriend at this time said...
She says...
Yeah. I don't know. You bring a sword to the ER, I think it's...
I mean, he just got it. I mean...
I don't know. I will say this. I'm sure he didn't mean to be the aggressor in the situation.
Right.
He wasn't out here trying to attack anybody.
Yes.
He just wanted his new toy safe. But that also states that mental illness was a huge case in this scenario.
Yeah. No, I agree. You should not bring a sword.
Yeah, you shouldn't bring a sword to the ER. Come on.
Listen, kids. Do not bring a sword to the ER room. Save that for the backyard when you're doing your YouTube videos of chopping water bottles in half and claiming you're a samurai.
And also look out for the next Criminal AF YouTube video of us practicing practicing Tanto water bottle slicings.
Dude, I'm getting a whole get up. I'm gonna be like, what do they call the fucking the get up? A key?
A gi.
A gi. A gi.
You said key.
A key. Yeah. No, not like the karate one. The samurai, the dress that they wear, like it's like a robe.
Yeah, a gi.
Oh, that's called a gi too.
Yeah.
I thought it was the like, oh, I'm going for my yellow belt. Here's my gi. Yeah.
The gi.
They're all called gis?
Yes.
Even the fucking robe one?
Yes. Even jiu-jitsu, everything, they're gis. Yes.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Well, I'm getting a gi then. All right. So that was a fucking weird trip to fucking Florida, huh?
Yeah. So next time you're in
Imagine
Florida,
walking in, you like have like a fucking sprained ankle or whatever. You're like, oh shit, I need help. Come in. And the guy's like, I'll help you. And he fucking puts his fucking sword to the fucking side, and yeah.
I want to tell.
What would you do?
I would love to tell a story about my wife's. Remember?
Which you went the other week?
Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the lady.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
sure you're talking to him.
My wife actually, true story, fell over my dog. This was probably 2 weeks ago. Thought she broke her hand. Went to the ER at about 9 o'clock. She goes to the ER, and this isn't. Norwich is pretty nice. It's not a crazy. It's not Florida for sure. There's not people with samurai swords in the ER for sure. But so you have to get buzzed through the front door of the ER by security. And she looks. Kelly's on her way. My wife is on her way out. This crazy lady who looked at her funny and was like, "Hey, you want to get out of here?" Kelly was like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to buzz me out." She's like, "I can get you out." My wife goes to leave the ER. The door. Then this lady pries open the door. Right? Yep. She runs, books it into the parking lot. Kelly's looking. All of a sudden, security goes, "Ma'am, stop!" My wife stops on a dime, turns around, goes, "Are you talking about me?" Like she has no clue what's going on.
Right.
And they run right past her. This lady was breaking out. She was on a 5150, which anybody who doesn't know that means that they're on a psychiatric hold.
Yeah.
Meaning they were forced to stay in the ER. At that time, this lady broke out of the ER at this time. Kelly's like, I don't even know. And she's on the phone with me, and I'm laughing because I hear the whole thing. They're chasing this lady. She jumps in her car and drives off and almost runs over the ER security.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, moral of the story is, who knows what you'll see at 9 o'clock plus at an ER.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what town you're in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember she was. I remember you telling me that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
she was like, "You want to get out of here?"
I mean,
like, I'm waiting.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we like I said, we talk about Florida and everything like that, but I mean, if I were to hear that story, I'd be like, oh, that was at Bacchus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In Norwich.
For sure. Yeah.
It's almost a daily fucking occurrence.
The ER is a crazy place.
Yeah.
So obviously, me and Dave have talked about how we do security for a living. I don't think I could work in an ER. As far as security, is it?
No, I thought about it, like, because they do take like secondary work. We could do part time, whatever.
You can do part time. They pay well too.
Yeah, but I was just like,
restraining, fucking.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it would be fun, but
it would be interesting for sure. It would probably be fun for like a couple weeks, and then you would get very sick of it.
I would think of like hospital security kind of being on the same lines as like being a bouncer. You got the unruly drunks, and you gotta like fucking check them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like thing.
Bouncer sounds fun in theory.
I've done it.
You worked.
I worked at fucking Sunset.
Actually, our producer has been a bouncer too.
Oh yeah, he was about it. Yeah. What was that? What was that part called?
September.
Oh, September's. Yeah. Well, no, what was the one after that? There was September's something in September's.
There's flashbacks September.
See, Dave got some flashbacks, right?
Yeah, flashbacks. Yeah.
Dave got some flashbacks when you said flashbacks. He was like, "Oh shit, I remember a good time."
Well, I remember that we went to, I think it was flashbacks at the time. No, it was the new September's. It was the second iteration of September's.
Yep.
And we went there. It was like 5-6 of us. Me and my friends. Dude, we were fucking loaded, like trashed, right? And there was people at the door. I don't think it was Casey. I would have remembered. Yeah. It was somebody else, and there was like a
He was probably 7.
No. And how old were you in the second internment of September's?
Probably my teens or 20s.
Yeah, I mean, you worked there, right?
There,
Yeah. So the bar's shutting down. Everybody's like leaving. There's a couple of Waterford cops like right at the exit.
Yeah.
Along with a couple
I heard, which is crazy because like the clubs and nightclubs and bars up here, they would never like associate with Norwich PD. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like September's had a
Maybe
weird
not,
relationship.
I don't know if you want to say associate. They wouldn't be in cahoots.
Yes, they wouldn't be at the bar.
Like
you could go across the street and wait for people to leave.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
But September's definitely had a good, which is as you're looking
smart,
at it,
if you
it's
think
smart.
about it. Yeah.
You're looking after your
because
own brand.
This is what happened. So obviously we drove there, right? I probably shouldn't say that.
Go.
All right.
If we gotta cut whatever, we gotta cut whatever.
Right.
Go ahead.
So we're leaving in September, and there's 2 Waterford cops and there's security, whatever. And they're like, "Who's driving?" And we all looked at who we thought was the less drunk of us all. And we're like, "They are." And they looked at whoever, I forget who it was, and they're like, "Nah, you guys got to call a taxi." We're like, "What?" You got to call a taxi. You're not driving.
Yeah.
You know.
Was that coming from the officer
or
the bouncer?
September's, yeah.
Okay.
But the cops were just standing like,
yeah.
whatever. So what are you gonna do? So fucking taxi pulls up. He's like, "Where you guys going?" And they're still like there watching us physically get into the fucking taxi, right? So we're like, "Oh, we're heading back to Plainfield because that's a long drive.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like a hefty fucking
Do one of the drive 4 minutes up the road, stop and turn. Yeah.
Wait, so
All the time.
so we get in the fucking taxi, right?
Yeah.
And the dude's like, "Where you going?" And we're like, "Oh, we're going to Plainfield," just so everybody can hear us, where we're going. And he's like, "All right." So we leave the parking lot and then we go up, not Spithead, but the other one, heading towards Walmart. What the hell is it called? Huh? Crossroads. Yeah. So we start going up Crossroads. We get up to like probably where the Walmart area is.
Yeah.
And we're talking to this cabbie the entire time. We're like, "Listen, whatever it costs, it would normally cost you to go to fucking Plain. We're gonna pay it right now. Just stop here, drop us off.
We're gonna go in.
We're gonna walk back. We're gonna go get our car." Yeah. So eventually, the cabbie was like, "Whatever, fuck it." So we gave him what it would cost to go from Waterford to Plainfield, which is like a couple $100.
Yeah.
And we got out. Fucking walked back. By the time we got back to September's, the lights are off, parking lot's empty except for our fucking car, and we're like, and we took off.
The Waterford cops didn't.
Nobody was there.
Okay, so
because everybody left.
This is way past 2 a.m.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So that's what we did. How do we get on this topic?
I don't know.
Doing crazy shit? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Criminal AF will be back after this quick break.
HelloFresh!
With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
Dave, I can't tell you how many times my kids have been like, "Daddy, can you just cook something good for once?" And I don't even tell them it's HelloFresh, and then they're like, "Wow, you're a better cook than Mom."
Oh, got him.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easy. You don't have to go to the grocery store. It's shipped right to your door, so it's a no-brainer for me. And you're still spending less with HelloFresh. It's this is brain surgery over here.
Absolutely.
HelloFresh does more than just delicious dinners. Not only can you take your pick from 40 weekly recipes, but you can choose from over 100 items to round out your order. From snacks and easy lunches to desserts and pantry necessities, everything arrives in one box on a delivery day you choose.
When I got my box, I got the 3-meal box, right? But I'm single, so I eat alone. Table for one, I actually took my meals and I portioned them out for the week.
Meal prep.
Meal prep, you know what I mean? So I got 3 dinners and I turned them each into 5 meals each. So that's 15 meals.
Come on.
You
can't beat it. You can't beat it.
And it's like Garrett said, it's less than what you would spend in a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You don't even have to worry if you're not a pro in the kitchen. HelloFresh's foolproof recipes arrive pre-portioned and easy to prepare in just a few steps.
No more scouring the grocery store for that one ingredient to complete your recipe. HelloFresh takes away all the hassle by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients so you have exactly what you need and helps you cut down on food waste. And let me tell you, that fry seasoning that they throw in that box is
it's fire. So HelloFresh cares about quality, and that's why their seasonal ingredients are picked at peak ripeness and travel from the farm to your home in less than 7 days. So you know that what you're getting is fresh. So go to HelloFresh.com/CriminalAF16 and use code CriminalAF16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping.
Go to HelloFresh.com/CriminalAF16 and use code CriminalAF16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping.
America's #1 meal kit. Ta-da! Now back to criminal AF. But anyway, all right, so let's get into this story of Richard Kuklinski. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of him. He's called the Iceman. He tells a fabulous fucking story.
He does.
Now, whether all of these stories are true, I mean,
I would say
that's up for debate.
I would say some were inflated.
Exaggerated, inflated,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that this guy claims that he has done. But we'll jump right into it, and we'll start learning about who this man was, starting with chapter 1.
Philippe Pinel, one of the founding fathers of psychology as we know today, rose to prominence in the 1790s when he was selected to be one of the attendant physicians at King Louis XVI's beheading. Soon after, he received an appointment to become the chief physician at the Paris Asylum for Men. You must understand that during this time, mental illness was not treated as it is today. The insane, as they were called for centuries, were believed to be possessed by the devil, or simply unruly by choice. They were imprisoned and shackled to a wall day and night for years on end in solitary confinement. They were treated with bloodletting. They were conditioned to fear their doctors, and repeatedly plunged in the bathtub until they were near death in the hope that the insane would just change their ways. That is, if they survived. Insanity in those days could be diagnosed to anyone who didn't appeal to social norms. Excessive writing, insomnia, extended illness, and women who committed adultery were among a list of 46 symptoms where someone could be declared insane. When Philippe arrived at the asylum, he was determined to take a different approach. There were no more shackles, the patients were put on a regular routine, and Philippe met one-on-one with each patient every day. He received incredible scrutiny, yet he believed that these patients shouldn't be clumped into a single diagnosis, and through his daily tasks with new patients, he learned that the state of one's mental illness wasn't derived by a single event, but a culmination of events in addition to a person's hereditary traits. Philippe shocked the medical world with his studies and led the way with his belief that both nature and nurture play a part in mental illness. That a person is predisposed at birth when an imbalance to process emotions coupled with physical and social stressors in the development of a person's life. In 1801, Dr. Philippe Pinel published his findings in his treatise on insanity, in which he listed mental illness in 5 classifications: melancholia, dementia, idiotism, mania with delirium, and mania without delirium. These classifications, among others, still stand today, however most go by different names, such as depression, intellectual disability, schizophrenia, and antisocial personality disorder, commonly known as a sociopath. A sociopath is described as someone who is manipulative, incapable of empathy, remorse, or love, poor impulse controls, and has a grandiose sense of self. Nearly 134 years after Dr. Pinel published his findings, a boy was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, who would grow to epitomize the diagnosis of a sociopath, as he would create a double life between being a family man and becoming one of the country's most prolific killers, in which he claims to have murdered well over 200 people. A man known to his family as Richard Kuklinski, but to the criminal underworld, he was the Iceman. Richard Kuklinski was the second born to Stanley and Anna Kuklinski, Polish and Irish immigrants who were never destined to be declared Parents of the Year. He was raised in a low-income housing project with Stanley working as a brakeman for the railroad and Anna working in the meat packaging plant. Stanley was an alcoholic who had severely beat Anna, Richard, and his older brother Florian. Anna was also quick with physical discipline, believing that physical punishment went hand in hand with a strong religious upbringing.
I didn't like my father, because he would beat me just because he felt like it. To get my attention, I guess. He'd just come in and give you a whooping for no reason whatsoever. And my mother was cancer. She would destroy everybody. She thought I took long to do something. She didn't hesitate to give me a swat here and there. And she didn't just use her hands. She would hit me with a broomstick or something like that. It hurt. As a matter of fact, she broke the broom on me more than once.
So in essence, Richard and Florian had no reprieve from constant abuse. His father would soon abandon the family, and Richard, acting out in anger, would capture the neighborhood animals and torture them by skinning them while they were still alive, throwing them in incinerators to watch them burn alive, and in one case, he tied 2 cats together by their tails and threw them over a wire and watched as they clawed each other to death. When telling the story, Richard laughs as he recalls how much noise the cats made. Richard wasn't only receiving the abuse from home. He had a small gang of teenagers who would bully him in school and on the playground.
When I was a young man, I found out that if you hurt somebody, they'll leave you alone. Good guys do finish last. When I try to leave everybody alone, just do my own thing, everybody just wanted to hurt me. Until one day, I decided, well, I had enough of this picking. And I went upstairs and I took a bar, which the clothes used to hang on in the closet. And I went back downstairs, and there were like 6 young men, still figuring they were gonna mess with my head. And we went to war. To their surprise, I was no longer taking the beating. I was giving it. And that's when I learned it was better to give than to receive.
The thrill and release he felt from these attacks were now ingrained in Richard's psyche. He had a taste for power and control. He was earning a reputation as someone you didn't want to cross, and if you looked at him a certain way, even by just passing on the street, he would set his sights on you and wouldn't relent until you were either bleeding on the pavement or dead. Richard, now 18 years old, was in a bar when a man rubbed him the wrong way and he felt like he was being disrespected. So he would wait. A few hours later, he found his moment to strike.
I come out of this bar, and I see him sleeping in his car. I said, I got you, little sucker. Now I got you. I'm gonna light your fire. And I did. I got myself a bottle, some gasoline, and I threw it in the car with him. And he was screaming and yelling and burning, and the car burned, and I could smell him. I walked down the block. I could hear him as I turned the corner. He was still yelling.
So now that we learned a little bit about the psychology behind all of this and where Kuklinski, basically was raised into this environment and whatnot. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about is that when Richard was 5, his parents had beaten his older brother. Now, Richard was 5, Florian was 7.
Yeah.
His father had beaten his brother so bad that he died from his injuries. Okay? 7-year-old, boom, dead. Now, to cover up the murder of a 7-year-old brother, they told the authorities that Florian had fallen down the stairs.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess back in the 50s or whatever.
it was
actually, it was the 40s. Yeah,
it happened. Yeah.
It's like, oh, my son fell down the stairs, and they're like, okay, whatever.
Which is crazy because that would never happen.
So
nowadays.
he had an extremely abusive childhood,
for sure.
And the one person that he could relate to was his brother. Even at such a young age.
Yeah. So
when Florian died, it was basically now him who's getting the brunt of everything.
Yeah.
The abuse, the fucking whatever.
Yeah, it passed down at that point.
Right. So now, as he grew older, he wasn't just getting the abuse from home. He was getting it at school. He was getting it from other kids in the neighborhood and everything. We talked about in the story how a gang of kids would beat the shit out of Richard. Pretty much on a daily basis. They'd be waiting for him before school, after school, whatever, torment the shit out of him. But as he got older and bigger, because in his later years, he was a huge hunk of meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a huge person.
And they could smell him coming down the fucking road. That's what they would say.
Yeah. So by the time he got to about 14, this is when he basically started fighting back. It's like, I'm bigger now, I'm more mature, whatever. I'm not taking your shit anymore. Basically, he got sick of it. He's like, fuck my parents, fuck these kids, fuck everybody. I'm now doing what's best for me. You know what I mean? I'm not taking any more of this fucking abuse. So by the time he was 14, he tracked down basically the leader of the kid gang that was torturing him.
Yeah.
His name was Charlie Lane. Okay. He knew that Charlie would be passing through an alley on his way home from school. So Kuklinski basically went down this alley and waited. And then when Charlie approached, obviously Charlie thinks he's still a fucking badass. He beats this fucking dude all the time. With his buddies. He would tell Richard, "Hey, get the fuck out of my way, blah blah blah, you piece of shit." And he fucking gives him a little shove. Well, Kuklinski didn't back down.
No.
Okay.
This was the one time
this is fucking where it's gonna fucking change right now, right? So a fight ensued. So Richard quickly got the best of him because by now he's 14, puberty kicked in. He's now 6 foot fucking whatever.
Which is
he's
actually
a fucking huge person.
It was impressive that Charlie actually had the balls to challenge him at this point because he was substantially bigger than him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, you could be a big sized person and still be a fucking cream puff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So. This is like Charlie being like, whatever, I beat his ass fucking 87 times before, I'll fucking beat it again, whatever. But now, Kuklinski's like, guess what? I'm fucking you up. Yeah. All right, so he basically got the best of him, and he didn't stop. Allegedly, he beat this kid to fucking death.
Yes.
Okay? So
to the brink, for sure.
Yeah. So he ended up stealing a car, and he brought Charlie's lifeless body to a bridge. Now, this is all him talking. This is where we say, take some of these stories with a grain of salt because who knows how it actually happened.
Correct.
But apparently he cut off the fingertips of little Charlie here and knocked out all of his teeth before dumping him into the river. Okay. That right there is fucking smart for a 14-year-old to think, well, I'm going to knock out his teeth for dental records. I'm going to cut off his fingers for fingerprints. Nobody's going to know who this fucking kid is.
Yeah.
Whether it's true, I don't know.
Especially in that time period, too.
Right.
It's there's not much about forensics. There's not a lot of knowledge in that aspect for him to just know to do all that. I think it's a lot is lotted up to, folklore and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if you beat someone to a bloody pulp, their teeth are going to come out regardless.
Right.
So.
And it kind of brings up the whole, like sociopath thing where he has this grandiose sense of self. He, basically tries to make himself sound better or smarter or bigger than other, than the world around him.
It's hard for me to label, we've been doing this a long time, right? I can't see where a sociopath becomes a serial killer more than a psychopath. I would classify him more as a psychopath at this point. You know what I mean? Where he's losing complete control of his emotions and he's beating this kid to a pulp. Sociopaths to me are more well thought out. If they were going to become killers, it's going to be it's not going to be such a brutal act of emotion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's why I wouldn't classify him. Now, granted, there's actually, people that are way smarter than me that are classifying him at this point as a sociopath and this and that. He shows clear tendencies, and he might, but the line between psychopaths and sociopaths are so small.
It's very minor.
It's very small.
Basically, from what I understand, again, like you said, there's smarter people out there than me.
Yes.
But basically, from what I understand is that a psychopath is born. They have a chemical imbalance. They have something in their brain that drives them.
You could
to
argue that this guy, he clearly had.
You could, yeah, I got you. And basically, based on their learned behavior, blah blah blah, they go off to do crazy shit. Now, with a sociopath, it's strictly their environment.
Yes.
The
nature versus nurture.
Right. Nature versus nurture, the whole fucking debate, everything. Now, sociopath, they learn these tendencies. They learn basically what, as the story talks, he got the shit beat out of him by his father.
Yep.
He got the shit beat out by his mother. He got the shit beat out of him by kids in the neighborhood.
Friends, family.
He got shit, like his entire fucking childhood up to the age of 14 is just him being this fucking minuscule little fucking mouse that everybody just fucking steps on. You know what I mean? So eventually, all of that is going to build up. You know what I mean? So could he have been a psychopath? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
it's possible. That's why I lean more towards him being a sociopath, because of what I know, or what is generally known of his childhood.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if a study has actually been done because you can actually determine whether somebody has that gene of being a psychopath. I don't know if that's been done in this case, but
yeah, it just goes back to me thinking, when I think of sociopath, I think of blue collar crimes. I think of things like that where you're ripping people off. You're doing these like things where it's not so much of a physical, emotional outburst.
Yeah, well, psychopaths can do that too.
Yes.
Just because you're a psychopath doesn't mean you're going to grow up to be a killer.
Yes, you're very correct.
A sociopath.
Yeah, you're very correct.
Both are very manipulative, and whether they decide to take that trait, I guess you could say, and use it towards conning people, or increasing your sexual body count, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a manipulator. That's all you are.
That's how I look at it.
On both aspects of it. Now, what makes them a killer is, like I said, the torment from childhood, blah 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 blah. Nature and the only difference is whether you're born with it or if you learn it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's my understanding.
And I do believe that you can learn it. So I don't want to completely close that door and say this is what I believe, because I truly think you can learn it.
Yeah. Now
we've done too many episodes where family members have introduced.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Fucked up things into kids' lives.
And that's what I'm saying. We talked about, let's say, Michael Ross. Michael Ross had somewhat of a normal childhood.
Yes.
Somewhat.
Little.
His mother was fucking crazy.
Mother was a little crazy.
His mother was cuckoo.
Mommy issues always tend to be the root.
Yep. And he was allegedly molested by his uncle.
Yeah. Molestation.
His father really had like a no hands-on approach to the whole fucking situation. Yep. If his mother was like, "Oh, he did this, go beat his fucking ass," the dad would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass," whatever, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But when it came to the point where after Ross's uncle died, the job of now killing the undergrown chickens or the diseased chickens or whatever now went to Ross, and he was 8 years old. Yeah. And he started like fucking snapping the necks of these fucking little ingrown fucking chickens and shit. Yeah. And he's like, damn,
this feels kind of good.
I kind of like this.
If my mom puts my fucking piss sheets up on the wall one more time, and I keep snapping these chicken necks, something's gonna happen.
And that correlated later in life, where his method of killing was strangling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that was his fucking thing, and he learned that by doing it with the chickens. Yeah. So you look at these people and you try to think, you try to find the when.
Yeah.
I talked about this a while ago.
Yeah, we always do.
Yeah, you find the when, like what triggered their later activities and everything. Kemper.
When did the lines cross?
Right.
From sexual aggression to it's always that in between.
Right. So like we discussed with Ross, it was the fucking snapping of the necks. With Kemper, it was him killing the cat.
Yep.
He was like, "Ooh, I have this power and this fucking control that I can fucking harness." You know what I mean? And
Dahmer, it was slicing the fucking organs open.
Yeah, it was the taxidermy shit.
Taxidermy,
you know, it's just like what is the when? You know, and then there's other people where you look at where you can't find a when.
Yeah,
they're just like that. And that's where I find where you get the psychopath to the sociopath.
Yeah.
If you can't find a when, so to speak, that's where you can kind of like bridge.
You can say sociopath to psychopath.
Right.
Yeah.
So
because
that's just me though. I'm like I'm not smart and I'm not educated in any of this. I didn't go to school for any of this. I didn't know it. It's just my perception. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But,
very good take.
Yeah. So with with Richard here, so he's as we discussed, he killed again when he was 18 by setting a guy on fire. Okay. So
sounds a little psychopath to me.
So what do we know? So far?
Yeah.
So he's got two murders by the age of 18, allegedly. He says. Okay. So he sets fires. He tortures and kills animals because he used to tie two cats' tails together and string them up on the fucking cable wire, the telephone wires in the street. Tie up two cats, put them over the fucking telephone wire, and let them fucking claw each other to death. So he's killing animals. He's torturing animals. The only thing we're missing to complete the triad is the bedwetting.
The bedwetting.
Okay, which I'm sure he did based on his childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't? I'd be pissing my fucking drawers all the time.
If you were a child getting beat,
But I highly doubt because he's a very, for lack of a better term, he was a man's man.
Yeah,
you know,
we've always said too. We've always talked about them on this podcast too about the things that go unreported.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's our big thing too. Here is like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Who knows what actually happened through most of these people's childhoods?
So he was a very I'm a man.
I didn't went to bed.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he would ever admit to a bedwetting.
Yes.
But I can tell you right now.
The triad is in
watching your 7-year-old brother, basically the only person who had some sort of stability in your life, get murdered by your own father.
Yeah,
bro, you're 100% fucking pissing your bed. That's just me. Whatever.
I know I would.
Yeah, that's shit. So next we'll discuss how he would go into Hell's Kitchen now, the Hell's Kitchen section of Manhattan, and he would practice his new craft and learn new ways to kill here in Chapter 2.
In 1960, 25-year-old Richard Kuklinski, married with 2 sons, met 18-year-old Barbara Pedrici at the warehouse where they both worked. Things escalated pretty quickly, and Barbara soon found herself being totally consumed by Richard, which is pretty common when new love begins to blossom. The difference in this instance is that Barbara realized how little time she was spending with her family and friends. She talked to Richard about this and thought it would be best if they take a step back and not see each other as much, to which he responded by stabbing Barbara in the back, saying, "This is an object lesson. Never leave me." They would go on to have 2 daughters and a son, and Richard would this time relish his role as a husband and father. It was evident from early on in their relationship that there were 2 sides of Richard Kuklinski, as Barbara would describe her marriage with him as being with good Richie and bad Richie. The good was a devoted husband and father, never drank, never did drugs, and was never unfaithful to his wife. He would provide for them with lavish gifts, vacations, sent his children to the best schools, and protect his family at all costs. He would say that he would kill an entire room full of people if it meant to save his. The bad was Barbara suffering broken ribs and a black eye, amongst many of the other injuries she would receive if she caught him in a bad moment, and there were more than enough times he would tear apart the house. The children were spared his wrath for the most part.
It was a Jekyll and Hyde existence. The way it was, and the way I wanted it to be, was absolutely two different lives. I wanted one life. I had to have another life.
With only an 8th grade education, Richard would find ways to make money outside of his warehouse job. After getting into a debt with Roy DeMeo, a capo in the Gambino crime family, DeMeo and his crew came to collect. The crew would attempt to beat Richard, who stood at 6 feet 5 inches tall and weighed over 300 pounds. But Richard held his ground and impressed DeMeo. Always looking to seize an opportunity, DeMeo could see that Richard would be more profitable to him alive, so he brought him in to be a part of his crew. Richard had to prove himself by carrying out a hit for DeMeo. They drove around for a while, and DeMeo pointed out a man walking his dog down the street. Richard got out of the car and walked towards the man. As they passed each other, Richard turned around, shot the man in the back of the head, and got in the car. With Richard now a member of DeMeo's Gemini crew, one of the most feared crews in the mafia world, his new career began to pick up fast. He was required to answer the call at a moment's notice, and his family knew not to question him when he would disappear for days at a time or get up and leave with no explanation, just to return a few hours later and act as if his abrupt departure was perfectly normal. One Christmas Eve, Richard was putting together some toys for his children when he received a phone call, put on his shoes, and walked out the door.
The man owed me money, and he was giving me the runaround. I told him I wasn't happy that he wasn't going to pay me. But he had that attitude that nobody could hurt him. I think he was wrong. Anyway, he never saw Christmas. I walked away, got in my car, and went home. I put toys together for the kids for Christmas. I saw the broadcast while putting the toys together that came down. Mob-related killing. That was the first time I knew I was mob-related.
Richard quickly became DeMeo's favorite enforcer for his lack of regard and empathy for the people he was assigned to murder, and he did so with ease. There was a hit that DeMeo wanted done, but nobody could get close enough to him, which played right into Richard's hands. He took pride in killing people others couldn't. Richard followed this man to a disco bar to stake him out and realized the place was always busy. Richard tried to figure out ways to get close to him without attracting attention to himself, but to no avail. This is until he noticed a gay couple dancing and realized that nobody was paying attention to them. In the 1970s, being gay was still kind of taboo, and most people would look the other way when they saw a gay couple. So one night, Richard showed up to the bar with the most flamboyant outfit he could find and was dancing around the dance floor without a care in the world. He was right. Nobody was paying attention to him. So he danced his way towards the man, and when he was close enough, he pulled out a hypodermic needle and stuck him with it. Within seconds, the man died of a heart attack. At the turn of the decade, Richard befriended a man named Robert Pronge while they were both staking out a hit at a New Jersey motel. They quickly sized each other up and realized they were both contract killers. Pronge, a former demolition expert in the military, was known as Mr. Softy because he drove an ice cream truck and came off as an unassuming, polite man who was loved by all the kids in the neighborhood. But he lived a double life as well. He was a sadistic killer who Richard dubbed the craziest man I have ever met. He would take rides with Mr. Softy and would watch as he gave fresh ice cream to the little kids and cyanide-laced ice cream to their fathers. They grew very close, and Richard would learn a lot about killing with poison and how to use it in various ways. Pronge, with Richard by his side, drove up alongside a man and sprayed a mist from a spray bottle. The man was dead within minutes, and Richard would find that the use of cyanide was a great way to kill.
You could put it in liquid form. For instance, a person could be in a bar. You bump into them by mistake, or say that you're intoxicated, spill the drink on them, and leave. Everybody just looks around and thinks that you're drunk or that you just had an accident or something. Meanwhile, it's soaking through their clothes and into their pores and into their system. And eventually, they'll die.
Richard and Pronge would team up from time to time to commit murders, but generally, Richard liked to work alone, especially when the business involved his rackets. George Malaban was in the pornography business and wanted to score some illegal videos from Richard. Carrying $27,000, Malaban met with Richard to seal a deal, and when Malaban sensed that the deal was going awry, he became angry and threatened to kill Richard and his family. Malaban was found several days later in a 55-gallon drum. It was during his relationship with Pronge that the idea of freezing a body would throw off the police when trying to determine a time of death. The man who would be a model for this experiment would be Louis Masque, a man who made a business arrangement with Richard to purchase cases of pornographic videotapes. The deal, in which Masque would pay $95,000 for the videotapes, was scheduled to go down at Richard's garage, but would never come to fruition, as this day would be the last time anyone saw Masque alive. His vehicle was found a short time later, and the storage compartment where Masque kept his money was gone. It is believed that Richard and Mr. Softy kept Masque's body in the freezer of the ice cream truck, and then was later transferred to Richard's walk-in freezer at his garage. It would be 2 years until Masque's body would be found in the same clothes that he went missing in. Police were baffled as it appeared that Masque hadn't been dead very long. During the autopsy, however, ice crystals were discovered in Masque's tissue, and Richard would become a person of interest for his murder as he was the last one to see him alive. This is how Richard became known as the Iceman.
Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. Now back to Criminal AF. So while Kuklinski was honing his craft in Hell's Kitchen, the police in the area thought that the series of murders that were popping up throughout the west side of Manhattan were the result of drug dealers and homeless people kind of killing each other off. Okay, they had no idea. Which
is still to this day a pretty big thing. If anybody pays attention to New York crime, that's if a couple homeless people end up dead, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's just
it's a Tuesday."
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah,
they don't connect murders. They don't connect anything.
Yeah, they have no idea that it's the work of this young man from Jersey City, New Jersey. So now, after his arrest later, Kuklinski he'd be listed as a person of interest in 65 unsolved murders in Hell's Kitchen alone during this time. Okay, so now that
that's impressive numbers, by the way.
65 in Hell's
impressive
Kitchen.
Numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hell's Kitchen, if you guys aren't familiar with New York, Hell's Kitchen is right just west of Times Square. Hell's Kitchen is very a big area of New York City, Manhattan at that.
Yeah, it's basically a rectangle.
Yeah, it's
shape of.
Yeah, I believe me, I've been to Hell's Kitchen many times. It's pretty popular. It's a big area that has a lot of,
which is funny because during the 80s and 90s, maybe even the 70s, if you think about it, Hell's Kitchen was southie of Boston during those times, where it's a high crime area, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing, in Washington D.C. You go to the tourist attraction of Washington D.C. You have the monument, you have Jefferson Memorial, you have the White House. Now, if you do an aerial view of the White House, everybody thinks the White House, they have this facade of whatever. Now, if you do an aerial view of the White House, literally the backyard of the White House is low income housing. It's very.
I have an amazing White House story for you.
I got you.
So my brother-in-law was in the Army for 6-7 years or whatever.
Okay.
He moved back to Connecticut. He wanted to move back to Connecticut.
Yeah.
He flew me down, right, to Georgia. He was stationed in Georgia, Fort Stewart.
Devil went down to Georgia?
Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, drive the U-Haul back to CT. I'll follow you.
Oh, okay.
Something ended up happening. He couldn't leave that night. I was like, at that point, I was just like, I want to get home.
I got to get the fuck out of here.
I'll drive tonight. So I take this U-Haul back.
Yeah.
I go down a wrong turn at the Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just end up, and I'm in Washington D.C. Downtown Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Sketchy as fuck in a U-Haul full of shit, like TVs, couches, everything valuable that's in a home.
Yeah.
In the back of the U-Haul. I get to a gas station, right? And this is by far the scared, I've never been more scared in my life to try to fill up a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Right? The guy I slide my card under a glass box.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this gas is. You can't even go in the gas station.
That sounds like downtown Norwich.
Yeah. No.
Central Ave? That gas station on Central Ave?
Stop. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
So I slide my card under a glass. You can't even go in the gas station.
Yeah.
You have to slide it under a gas tank. They pay for it and they slide it back to you.
Right.
I fill up my gas tank. There's bums asking for dollars.
I was going to ask you. I was going to fucking ask you. Did anybody ask you to hold $1?
There's bums are asking me for $1.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the fuck out of here.
Right.
At this point,
Yeah.
I was afraid. And then all of a sudden I take a right, and I had no idea where I was at this point. Like I had my GPS to get back on 95 north.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I take a right, I see the White House. I'm like, what the fuck? I just almost got robbed 2 blocks down.
And you're at the White House.
And I'm at the White House.
And now the Secret Service got their fucking snipers on you, thinking you're gonna fucking cruise up to the White House.
I totally agree with you. That you go 2 blocks down the road, and it's like you're in a third world country.
Yeah, you go from all the tourist traps. And then 2 blocks away, sometimes not even 2 blocks, like the next building over, and you're in the fucking.
I'm in a U-Haul. I'm in a U-Haul driving by the White House. It was actually kind of funny at that point. Thank God I got gas and I was back on the road.
It's something you can look back on. Yeah.
Thank God. That was by far. I've been in some sketchy parts. David knows I'm a huge fan of New York City. I go there a lot.
Yeah, you do.
It's only 2 hours from us. 2.5 hours, 2 hours. I go there a lot. I've never been more afraid than DC. DC at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because you think you have all these fucking tourist traps and everything like that. You think it's going to be chill and everything. Nope. Right. So anyways, basically how we got on all of this is that Kuklinski would go through Hell's Kitchen and he would just...
Oh yeah, we were talking about Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, Hell's Kitchen. So he would go through and he'd murder homeless people and drug dealers and whatnot. And the police were like, they're all killing each other off. Drug dealer killing drug dealer, homeless killing homeless, whatever. They didn't really look too much into it.
They were actually happy at that point.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's later in life, he's connected to 65 unsolved murders in Hell's Kitchen.
Crazy. Those are some numbers, too, at that point.
Yeah. So now,
even in that time period, that was some numbers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, 100%. So now, while all of this is going on, in present time in Hell's Kitchen, while he's going amongst all these murders and everything like that, now he's currently married. He has a couple of kids, whatever. So he actually falls in love with an 18-year-old. Her name is Barbara Pedrici. Pedrici, Pedrici, I believe.
Pedrici.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Things started off quick, got heavy quick, which usually happens in the early part of a relationship. That's when you get the double-fisted Gluck Gluck 3000 and all that kind of good shit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pulling out all the stops.
All the stops are being brought out, right?
Yeah.
So things are heating up hot, and now Barbara, she starts to realize, this is getting going a little too fast. So in this instance, Barbara begins realizing, how little time she's spending with her family and friends. You know what I mean? So she talks to Richard and, about this, and, she thought it was best that they kind of slow it down, let's not see each other as much. Let's not, hang out as much, whatever. Kuklinski responds to this, concern of Barbara's by actually physically stabbing her in the back.
Physically
stabbing her in the back. All right. And he says to her, this is an object lesson that you're about to learn. Don't ever leave me. Like, you're not cutting back time. You're not taking things slow. Like, we're in this. And
together.
You have no choice, basically, right? So that happens. They end up getting married, you know. What way to start your blissful marriage by stabbing your soon-to-be wife in the back. But so now we get to the part where Kuklinski has become allegedly a mafia hitman. So now there's no actual proof of this.
This is all hearsay.
This is all, this is basically him saying, I was part of the mafia. Okay. Now, mafia historians claim that they've never heard of Kuklinski in relation to mob activities, like, ever. So regardless, he claims to be part of the crew who kidnapped and murdered Jimmy Hoffa, and the one behind the trigger in the murder of the Gambino boss, Paul Castellano, under the direction of John Gotti. Now, there is one documented instance of his connection with the Gambinos, and that was the hit on a sketchy police detective. His name was Peter Calabro, who was involved in some dealings with the Gambinos, and they were concerned that he's going to flip. You know, he's going to flip state evidence, whatever.
Yeah.
And then a witness. This is in court. This is documented. This is whatever. A witness places Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, Sammy the Bull Gravano, and two other associates in the hit, Peter Calabro.
Now, could he have been associated with the Gambino family and all that? Like, sure.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to actually pinpoint him on, like, the Jimmy Hoffa hit.
Yeah. That's a little sketch.
Like, I get why you would want to, like, present yourself at that point. Right. Sure, he could have killed the corrupt cop at that point, whatever. You know, that time was...
Right. Or being one of the hitmen in the Paul Castellano murder, you know?
But... like, I could totally see him inflating that he was part of the upper echelon of the Gambino family. Like,
right, it fits his MO.
Yeah, because the everybody knows with all the research that everybody's. As far as me, I'm obsessed with the Hoffa family and all that. Like the Hoffa story and all that. I don't think he was associated.
I mean,
with that at all.
Could it be? Whatever.
Yeah,
could it not be? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just interesting
it's a good
story. Yeah.
It's a good tally on your marker for sure.
Right.
You know,
give you a little bit of a jail cred.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
That was involved with the Hoffa thing. Yeah. So now,
because everybody knows that was the upper echelon of the crime family that dealt with those two murders.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
That wasn't just some low-level street boss or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So as we go on in the story, you know, Kuklinski, he has found a partner in crime, you could say, in Robert Pronge. Now, he was also known as Mr. Softy. He would drive a Mr. Softy ice cream truck.
Yeah, what a gangster-ass fucking way to go.
Right.
To kill people, dude.
Yeah. And in the meantime, he's off in...
I love that.
He's off in his ops, you know what I mean?
Yep.
His opposition, whatever. So for all intents...
say it again?
Ops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm with the lingo.
Dave's a little gangster.
I'm with the lingo, you know?
Little Gen Z lingo for you guys.
He's sliding on his ops.
He's sliding on his ops. Vaughn.
So, so for all intents and purposes, it was a beneficial partnership.
Yeah, for sure.
But all good things must come to an end, as we'll discuss in Chapter 3.
Through another racket, Richard was contacted by a man named Paul Hoffman, a pharmacist who was looking to score some drugs to sell in his pharmacy in order to make a huge profit. He brought with him $22,000.
He took the bag, threw it, opened it, showed me a whole mess of money. A whole mess of cash. He said, I got the money right here. And he came back and he says, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How am I gonna get this merchandise? I put the gun under his chin, and I said, "There is no merchandise." And I shot him. He didn't die. The gun jammed. He was gurgling. I had hit him. Blood was pouring out of his mouth, and he was in what I would imagine to be a lot of pain. So there was a tire iron there. I took the tire iron and I hit him with it, which knocked him out. And he died. So then I took him and put him in a 50-gallon drum, put it on the side of a motel. It was behind Harry's Corner. I listened to the people. I went into Harry's every morning. The thing was there for a long time. I looked at it every day. It was there. I went to Harry's every day. One day, it was just missing. Continued to go into Harry's to see if anything was said about it. Nothing was said. I don't know what happened to that drum.
Paul Hoffman's body was never found. He and Pronge would maintain their relationship for some time until one day they had a falling out when Pronge threatened to poison a water supply and kill thousands. Mr. Softy was found hanging out of the driver's side of his ice cream truck with numerous gunshots to his head and chest, courtesy of Richard Kuklinski. By 1982, the heat was on DeMeo and his Gemini crew. If you know anything about the mafia, it's that they don't like being in the spotlight and something needed to be done. The leadership of the Gambino crime family wanted DeMeo out of the picture, but he was feared amongst his family. John Gotti and Sammy the Bull Gravano reportedly turned down the hit, as did many others. The people or person who had to do this were the ones who were closest to him. The task, according to Richard, was given to him. In January of 1983, a meeting was set up at the home of one of the Gemini crew, and DeMeo was not seen again until his body was In January of 1983, a meeting was set up at the home of one of the Gemini crew, and DeMeo was not seen again until his body was discovered in his trunk riddled with bullets. After nearly 30 years of working for the mafia, and with DeMeo now dead, Richard decided to go out on his own. He was making more money than ever before with his rackets, including gun smuggling, illegal pornographic movies, extortion, money laundering, and of course, murder for hire. By now, Richard has used numerous methods for murder: gun, knife, poison, burning, strangulation, Molotov cocktail, and leaving people to be eaten alive by sewer rats, but he never stopped looking for new ways to kill. He once pulled over to the side of the road and asked the man for directions. When the man approached his window, Richard pulled out a crossbow and shot the man through the forehead. This was not a contract, not a personal vendetta, and not because he was owed money. This was a stranger who was merely in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Richard simply wanted to try out his crossbow. Richard's new venture on his own would prove to be his downfall, as he was growing careless and paranoid. His new business partner, Gary Smith, would help him run his rackets and would set up a meeting in which Richard would kill a person and steal their money. Richard, feeling the pressure from law enforcement, was growing concerned that Smith would flip. Richard set up a meeting with Smith in a motel room, and he laced his food with cyanide. Not dying fast enough, Richard strangled Smith and hid his body under the bed in the room. Several days later, Smith's body was found. The autopsy revealed that Smith died from asphyxiation. If he would have just let the poison do the work, Smith's death would have been listed as natural causes, but because he strangled him, it was now a homicide. The FBI assigned an undercover agent to act as a hitman who met with Richard at a highway rest stop to give him cyanide to kill a fictitious cocaine dealer. Richard was told that the man would be carrying $85,000 and it was all his once he committed the murder. 2 hours after this deal was made, Richard was arrested. The wrath of the Iceman was over. There is much debate on how to classify Richard Kuklinski. Was he a serial killer? A street thug? A contract killer? In my opinion, the answer is all three. It is not often where the line between these three is crossed. Serial killers are triggered by people who meet their specific preference or reminds them of someone who did them wrong in the past, such as a prostitute may trigger someone whose mother was also a prostitute and would abuse and abandon them as a child. A woman with blonde hair in her early 20s may trigger a person who was scorned by someone of a similar type. Serial killers are also typically consistent in their manner of killing, whether it be strangulation, stabbing, or shooting someone, to name a few. A contract killer is someone who is paid to murder a person, and it's more than likely that they have no emotional or psychological connection to their target. Many skeptics of him being a serial killer will point to the fact that he was a con man, a hustler who killed people for financial gain, which is true, but these instances occurred well after he began killing. If you take a deep look at his history, with the physical and emotional abuse he received from his parents, the death of his brother, the torture of animals as a youth, the torment he received from his peers, it's easy to see that Richard separated himself from emotion at an early age. In his case, his trigger was disrespect. If he felt you disrespected him or his family, you were dead, or at least beaten to near death. This all stems from his childhood when he had no control over those who were supposed to love and care for him and those who betrayed his trust. Once he gained control, anyone who made him feel as if he didn't paid the price. His story has all the makings of a serial killer. The contract killing, that was just a perk. People will continue to debate these theories, but one thing is consistent. Richard Kuklinski was a sociopath. His grandiose claims are the main reasons behind this debate. Richard would go on to say that none of the murders ever bothered him. But there was one murder that never happened that would eat at Kuklinski for the rest of his life. This one goes back decades, and if he had, his entire story would be different. He wished he would have killed his father.
All right, so as we discussed, Kuklinski, he started his partnership with Robert Pronge, and Mr. Softy's method of killing was poisoning. Yeah. So he would give a child ice cream, and then he would give his father an ice cream poisoned.
Crazy.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, but eventually, Pronge, he was getting a little fucking rambunctious. He was getting a little bigger than what he usually was, and he told Kuklinski that he was going to poison the drinking water of the area. Now that area also consisted of his family and his children, so he was like, no, you're not gonna fucking do that.
Yeah.
So he ended up shooting,
which shows a little bit of humility,
right?
In this serial killer, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Now here's the question: did he kill Pronge because he was doing the right thing by preventing all these deaths, or was there another reason why he killed him?
And that's what I love, because you'll never know. Nobody will know. Because
if we learned anything about Kuklinski right now, is that if he even felt slighted in the littlest bit, you're fucking dead.
You're dead.
You know what I mean? And if you looked at him the wrong way,
and
you're dead.
That brings up a whole thing that I love about this story is that everybody talks about the mob, the Gambino family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go to Chicago with Al Capone, whatever, the mafia in general.
Right.
Nobody labels these guys. They're high end hitmen as serial killers.
Right.
They just labeled them as, you know, oh, they were doing things for the mob. That's what they were doing.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
called it what it was.
But when you really deep down into it, they enjoyed killing. They were serious. This is how I feel. I don't, you know, other people will say other things. I strongly believe that they were serial killers. That it's just they got away with saying, "Oh, I did this because of the mob." They enjoyed. Right. They enjoyed killing.
Yes,
for sure.
Like Roy DeMeo of the Gambino family, he got off on fucking killing.
He
the
liked
whole
it.
crew did.
Yeah.
And if it's true that Kuklinski was part of that, he fit right in because he enjoyed it as well.
Yes, and that's what I mean. Was Kuklinski this high end person? Sure, he might have been. He might have been low end. Who knows?
Right.
But we all know that this kid enjoyed killing at this point.
Right.
And I love how you put that in the story. Whereas, like, was he just doing this as a hitman, or was he enjoying every second of it?
Yeah. Was he a serial killer? Was he a contract killer?
And as far as my take on it is, I believe he was a serial killer, just like any of these guys. They liked to kill random people. They didn't care if the mob called on them and they needed it. Hey, this guy needs to die. It didn't matter who it was. They didn't ask questions. They didn't care. Okay, I got it. I'll take care of it.
This kind of reminds me also of a situation. If we bring this into present day, within like the last 5 years or whatever, you can look at what people are calling on YouTube and the internet as hip hop's first serial killer.
Oh, I like where you're going.
You know what I mean? And if you guys haven't heard of King Von, like from Chicago,
you might be plugging a thing that nobody knows.
I know. Like, I've been down a rabbit hole on fucking King Von for months now.
Yeah, we might have to do an episode.
We might have to do on King Von.
Yes.
Was he truly the first hip hop?
O-Block, baby. O-Block, Chicago.
Was he the first hip hop serial killer? All right. So allegedly, he's shot over 20 people, killed that we know of or that is known. He's killed like 8 or 9.
Yep.
You know, is it gang related? I mean, yeah, it could be gang related.
The number's actually more than 20, to be honest.
Yeah. With you. But it's speculated. Like, if you talk to like people who knew him or were around him or whatever, like he just liked
to kill.
He's evil. Yeah. Like he thrives off of killing. You know
and they would do is chalk it up to gang violence.
Yeah.
So
and he was out there just murking people. That's where I got the sliding on the ops.
Yeah. Sliding on the ops. But it's hand in hand with
you know what I mean? It's like,
our story. Where
are they serial killers, or are they just doing it just because of the environment that they're in?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're still taking someone's life that still is heavy on the heart, regardless of who you are.
Right.
So if you are super acceptable of that, there's something twisted, and especially with 2 bodies by the time he was 18, he was already on that path.
Yep.
So
what do you think about the $85,000? Yeah.
If I'm already a hitman for the mob,
yes.
And I have an opportunity to take someone for $85,000 back in, what year was this?
The 80s.
In the early 80s?
Yeah.
That's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
Liquid. I would do it too.
Why not?
I would take that too. Hey.
Let me put it this way. If somebody offered me $85,000 right now,
not to kill someone, Dave.
I'd be seriously considering it.
You would get... $85,000.
I'm like, all right, what do they do? What do I do?
Yeah. $85,000 is a ton of money.
Substantial amount of money. Yeah.
And especially at that point, he's already a ruthless killer.
Right.
Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, he probably would have done it for like 10.
Yeah.
It
was actually very smart by the FBI at that point.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were going to get him with that sum of money.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all she wrote. Game over.
Yep.
He's in jail, and
it's crazy that informants, like, as much as people talk shit about Rico, in general with the mob, and we're gonna get into that. We're totally gonna do an episode on the mob because I love it.
I think we've touched on this before, but the whole fucking Rico it's
bullshit.
It's the pussy way out.
Yes, it's bullshit, but it was genius.
It's genious, but it's the fucking pussy way out.
Yes.
You guys, the federal government, they found a cheat code.
They made a cheat code.
Yeah.
At that point, the amount of informants and stuff like that they had in the crime families, it was just they were going down regardless.
Right.
So it's not his. I mean, he didn't know. He thought legitimately that 85 was legit.
Imagine what 85,000 could do for you in 86 or 85 or whatever it was.
80s.
All right, so I think that'll wrap it all up for Kuklinski here for the Iceman. If you liked what you heard, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review. And don't forget, you can become one of the debauched by joining our Patreon for as little as $2 a month for general support. Everyone gets ad-free episodes and access to our Discord. So those of you who join, and actually we went a little live on our fucking Discord recording this episode.
We were recording this episode
so
live, too.
Thank you for everybody who tuned in for that. And those who join the $5 tier or above get all of our Audible video and downloadable content, including narrated scripts from every story, 5-Minute Murder, and our Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast, Random AF, which we're going to record after this episode. For the higher tiers...
You a couple beers in there. We're ready for Random AF.
For the higher tiers, you get all of this, plus producer credits on every episode, some goodies thrown in, like t-shirts, posters, coffee mugs, etc. Just go to criminalafpodcast.com/support to choose your tier. Links to our support, socials, merchandise, reviews, and more are in the episode description. Signing off from Studio Chloroform. Keep your head on a swivel and stay safe till next time. Now give me our theme music. See ya. Executive producers for this episode are Christine Rivera, Beth Davis, and Dusty J. Hicks. Associate producers are Paul Hodge, Laura Shin, Chantel Seislick, Jay Rawlings, and Terry Burke-Wolin. Producers are J.D., Trent Gobble, Devin Dean, Lissa Perello, Alicia Knight, Maria Celine, Chris Owen, Justin Ware, and Beth Esselman. This story was researched and written by Dorothy Jari, edited and narrated by Dave Jari. For a narrative-only version of this episode, follow Criminal AF Direct, available wherever you listen to podcasts.